Steve Pavlina, Self-Discipline Part 6/6. Nothing in the world can replace perseverance. Talent will not replace it. Nothing is more common than talents that fail. Genius will not replace him either. Unrecognized genius is almost a catchphrase. Education is no substitute for perseverance. The world is full of educated but outcast people. Only perseverance and determination are all-powerful. The slogan, Davi, solved and always will solve the problems of mankind. Calvin Coolidge. Persistence is the fifth and final pillar of self-discipline. What is perseverance? Perseverance is the ability to maintain action regardless of your mood and feelings. You keep pushing even though you want to quit. In the end, perseverance will give you motivation. If you just keep going, you will eventually get results, and the results can be very motivating. For example, you will be much more enthusiastic about diet and exercise after losing the first 10 pounds of weight and after clothes are too big for you. When should you retreat? Should you constantly push and rush forward, never backing down? Of course not. Sometimes retreat is the best option available. Have you ever heard of Trafo Data? What about Microsoft? Both of these companies were founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Trafo Data is the first company they started in 1972. Gates and Allen worked there for several years before throwing in the towel. They gave up. Of course, in the case of Microsoft, they did a little better. If they hadn't backed off from Trafo Data, we wouldn't have this great collection of jokes about Microsoft and Bill Gates today. So how do you know when to push and when to back off? Is your plan still correct? If not, correct it. Is your goal still correct? If not, upgrade or discard it altogether. There is no special honor in clinging to a goal that no longer inspires you. Perseverance is not stubbornness. For me, learning this was a particularly difficult lesson. I have always believed that one should not give up, that once having set a goal, one must go to it to the end, albeit deplorable, but to the end. The captain does not leave the ship and the like. If I ever failed to complete the project I started, I would feel very guilty. In the end, I realized that it was just stupid. If you generally grow as a human being, then every year you change. And if you consciously strive for personal development, then the changes will often be quick and drastic. You cannot guarantee that the goals you set today will be the same in a year. My first own business was Dexterity Software. I started it in 1994, right after graduating from college. But after working in it for more than 10 years, I became ready for something different. I still run this company, but it is no longer my focus and does not take up most of my time. I spend no more than 2 hours a week on supporting her, partly because I have automated her work as much as possible and turned her into a source of passive income. What I wanted from this enterprise, I got. I could expand my activities considerably, but I knew I didn't want to spend the rest of my life making computer games. Starting my own programming firm was my dream at 22, and after releasing 24 games, I feel like I have realized it. Steve, 22, is very pleased and satisfied. But today I have other dreams. Did I quit Dexterity? You may think so, but it would be more accurate to say that I was infected by a vision of something much more important to me. If I had stubbornly continued to move Dexterity, this site would never have come into existence. Instead of my first book, I would be working on a new game. To make room for new targets, we need to complete or cancel old targets. And sometimes new goals are so captivating and inspiring that there is simply no time to finish the old ones, they must be left unfinished. I've always felt uncomfortable doing this, but I know it's necessary. It's hard to consciously abandon an old project knowing that it will never be completed. I have a folder full of new game ideas, and it contains several game prototypes that will never see the light of day. It was very difficult for me to make a conscious decision that these projects should be abandoned. And it took a long time before I internally resigned myself to this. But the ability to make such a decision was essential to my own growth. In addition, I had to solve the problem of setting a goal that, a year later, could become obsolete due to my personal growth. How did I solve this problem? I cheated. I have found that the only way to set a long-term and permanent goal is to align it with my own growth process. Following the path of personal development has been a fairly established and stable course for me, despite the fact that it is in constant flux. So instead of setting a rigid, fixed goal, as I did in the gaming business, I began to set broader, more dynamic goals that would align with my own development. This new business allows me to fully pursue personal growth and share the knowledge gained with other people. Thus, growth as such is the goal of myself and others. A symbiosis is created in which helping others is reflected in my own growth, which in turn generates new ideas for helping others. Anyone reading this site since last year has probably seen this effect in action. Directly and consciously following the path of personal development is the only task that is suitable for me. If I made it my goal, for example, to master investing in real estate, then in a few years I might get bored. Since there is no limit to growth and I would like to grow indefinitely, I must constantly raise the bar so that there is a certain challenge in my tasks. I can't let boring things take over me, risking falling into the trap of contentment and complacency. The value of perseverance lies not in stubbornly clinging to the old. It consists of a vision of a very attractive future for which you are ready to do almost anything. The future that I see for myself now is much grander than what I saw in Dexterity. Helping people grow and solve their toughest problems is more fun than just entertaining them. These values began to emerge in me while working at Dexterity, as among games I preferred logic puzzles that make people think. At the same time, I was missing opportunities to release games that could make me more money but didn't give people anything useful. The tenacity of action comes from the tenacity of vision. When you are crystal clear about what you want and the image of it does not change significantly, you will be consistent in your actions. And these consistent actions will lead to consistent results. Can you identify in which area of your life you have shown long-term perseverance? I think that if you can find such an area, then it will give you the key to your mission, one in which passion and self-discipline help each other in advancing.